questions for Coach Vitello first. We'll start with Troy. Raise your hand in the little box on the side, and I'll call on you guys.
Coach, do you have a update on Leaf, and what did you think about Hundley getting put into a tough situation there and how he pitched?
Yeah, not a real specific update on Leaf other than, something hamstring wise. Dr. Klink is always good with his time. He always stops by on game day. So he's here and able to check on Leaf, which he's done. I'll go to the training room after this and see if there's any immediate answers, but more than likely it might be something they got to look at a little further. I doubt he'd be with us the next week or two. But again, we'll get the official assessment. And then as far as Hundley goes, it's kind of the norm. That's his role he's earned is to take the ball in a tough spot. And the conversation we had with him at the beginning of last year and this year was be prepared to start long relief, middle relief, close, get a hold, or whatever you want to call it, late inning. And then I guess, add that to the category of, very unfortunate. No one happy to see Jackson Leaf go down so quickly, especially the way he was throwing the ball. I mean, he was here early and you could see in his eyes, he wanted to lead the team to a victory after a loss. So unfortunate, but Sean did a great job.
We'll go to Ryan next and then Joseph.
Yeah, what did you see from Redmond in that eighth inning? Seemed like he was cruising and then kind of got a little rattled. And then what does it say about his mental toughness to respond with whatever it was, 3 good innings after that?
Yeah, I saw guts every inning, just guts, enormous guts, and heart from him. And, looks like he's out of the inning. Again, if we break down a little bit and play catch there on the infield, he's maybe out of the inning. And then who knows, maybe they give us their best punch in the 9th, but we got their best punch then when they smelled a little opening there after an error. And, he's always going to throw strikes. So a couple guys got the bat on the ball and they had it rolling there. And, the play he made defensively and the way he bounced back after they did that said everything you need to know about Redmond if you didn't know who he was at this point.
What message did you send to your guys after they were pretty quiet after the first couple innings to get back in there, going into extras and get on base and get the win?
Yeah, there was a lot of tension in there for sure. And I think Redmond just kind of willed us to a spot where our guys got a little delirious in the dugout and it was the 11th, right? Some comments about being in the 11th again and things like that. So whatever happened, it didn't come or stem from me. I think, again, it was them feeding off the guy who took on a leadership role late in the game was Redmond, and the guys just kind of relaxed a little bit. I mean, obviously, we did what we had to do on the field in between the lines, but you just felt much better in the dugout that inning. And so hopefully that tension that was there won't creep back in next time we're in extra innings again. When you kind of sometimes want to be the one guy to do it and you take big swings, and if it doesn't happen, the dugout's kind of deflated. It usually happens like this in extra innings. Good vibe in the dugout, competitive at-bats, and there's small margin for error on the defensive side. And, hopefully one of many walk-off wins at Lindsey Nelson Stadium for this group.
Go back to Troy.
Tony, what's your evaluation of the rotation through the first 2 weekends? And with the way Hundley has pitched and Jackson being down for however long he's down, do you consider starting him over the weekend at any point?
Yeah, it's always an option. I think for us, we got to kind of scrap everything. It goes with the theme of what we just talked about as coaches in the outfield. It's time to take a timeout, and the calendar cooperates, rather well for us. It's officially the end of February, which is kind of our spring training month in college baseball. You get thrust into the season probably a little bit too early. A bunch of scrimmages, and then our schedule was a bunch of games, very competitive games all at once. So it's a unique week. We play on Wednesday instead of Tuesday because of Dayton's travel schedule. So it provides us with a little extra breathing room to call timeout and assess how things have gone so far and what things we need to improve on, which is a lot. And one of those things is, who will pitch Wednesday, and then we'll go from there. I mean, I can tell you, we'll use several guys on Wednesday, and then Chad will pitch on Friday against Georgia State. But we'll talk about the rest and see what we got.
Back to Ryan.
you guys have been really strong on defense the last 2 years. This year, with basically all the same guys, have had some struggles. Just how frustrating is that, and what do you have to do to get the more consistent play going forward?
Yeah, and you're right to hit on the theme that you're talking about, but we've also talked about dugout a little bit. It's the same guys or most of. And then yesterday, the questions you guys asked me was about offense, and it's kind of all the same guys, contributing in all three of those areas, just a little bit out of character. And I'm not Dr. Freud or anything like that. There's never one answer to things when you want things to go well, or one answer to things when they are going well. But I think for this group in particular, I think we're at a different time in our program, and no longer going to sneak up on people. I think our guys have really high expectations. Outside people have high expectations, and the waters have just gotten a little muddy. And I think when we've been at our best, and we'll be at our best, is when things are really simple. We got a bunch of guys that work hard and play hard, and they have fun doing it. And those are three cliche lines, very simple, but I'll tell you what, they're also very, very factual. So hopefully the coaches can get that point across to our players, or maybe they get it across to themselves and settle in a little bit and play. And that's what you see out of older clubs a lot, especially those juniors. Early on, there can be some tension and some extra thoughts. And then when guys start to relax and play, it can get scary if they're guys with ability.
Troy, or actually we'll go back to Joseph now.
Dropping Max Ferguson in the lineup, do you think that's something that's going to be good for his confidence? Because he seemed to struggle a little bit lately, and today did get a nice hit.
Yeah, he put in a little extra work today in the cage. I think the swings were better. He just missed a double or maybe even a home run if it would have stayed a little more true down the left field line. Looked much better at the plate. And I think part of it might be just a change of scenery. A guy that's trying to carry the team, which, to be honest with you, when we broke these teams up into two and played, competitive scrimmages, either call it the Fall World Series or whatever, he was the guy that led the team and almost kind of carried the offense. He was always on base. And he's probably trying to duplicate that a little bit. And so, again, the change of scenery and relieving a little bit of pressure might have helped them. But we also got a guy and Pete Durkee, who's pretty well suited to be a two-hole hitter. So we'll see how it all works out by SEC play. We're still in experimentation season a little bit.
All right, we'll finish up with Troy.
Along the same lines, Connor put some good swings on the ball today, 2 deep flies and then a double. Do you feel like him and Max can how beneficial it'll be for your offense to get those two to kind of turn it around a little bit?
Yeah, again, it's all categories across the board, and we're not talking about guys that are short on trying hard or wanting to do. If anything, that's probably the issue, is maybe cutting back on the reps a little bit and just letting the game come to them, and then also have high standards, but maybe lower the expectations a little bit. I mean, it's not Michael Jordan in the NBA. They're not going to dominate out there. We just need them to contribute. And again, if you look at the past, that's kind of been our brand name. Is we had a bunch of guys last year that would contribute on offense, and there was never one, hero or one guy that was carrying the offense on their back, or even really the team.
Trey, you have one, I know. So Trey, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't figure out how to do the raise hand function. Tony, what do you take away from first few weekends of the season? Today, you battle back after they had a big inning, tied things up. Mentality of the program right now, and how you feel heading into March.
Yeah, well, as far as the raise hand feature, Trey, I'll just tell you the Zoom sucks. So it'd be a lot better to interact with you guys here. And sometimes you guys can be therapy after some games that are crazy like this weekend, but so was Georgia Southern. So that's my answer, is we've played a ton of crazy games. And the conversation we had in the outfield today was, they need to celebrate that win. It's a walk-off win, but let's call timeout before we go into March and look at February. I think we've got as much out of this month. I'm not saying we're anywhere close to being what we need to be, or if we're even a top 25 team, but I don't think any team in the country has gotten more out of February than we did. I mean, we played on the road, 2 extra inning games. We didn't miss any games. We played in rain. We played in sun. We played in wind. We had to come from behind. We had to play with a lead. We've played very, very good teams. You watch these 2 teams that we've played so far. And then, of course, Pine Bluff's always dangerous because they always play with kind of a nothing to lose type mentality. So we've gotten a bunch of guys their first action. I mean, it's a conversation we could have for about 10 minutes on how we've got as much out of February as you possibly can, which is great to say, but we need to make use of it. And we need to make adjustments in areas that we weren't great in February in order to make that month work for us into March, which everybody loves March if you're any kind of sports fan. Low March Madness, and then SEC baseball is rolling right around the corner at the end of the month.
All right, thanks, guys. I'll do it for Coach. We'll have players next.